This is TWiT.
You have another app, which you made, and I'm not 100% certain exactly whose fault this was. And I'm willing to take some responsibility for this because there's shiny, pretty rainbows involved. And that's dice, because you have an application for rolling dice. And I believe this was originally created for the Dungeons and Dragons podcast called Total Party Kill,
Yes.
which you and I have both guested on previously, and Micah is a regular host on, actually.
Yeah, so I was on this way back, and we had the first group, and it was mostly British people, so like Mike Hurley and Adina and myself, but also Jason Snell was on it. And at one point during that, because I had started messing around with 3D stuff, which for reasons we will come back to, and Jason said, "I'm surprised you haven't written a dice app yet." And I thought, well, that sounds like an interesting idea. I give myself a week. I will make a dice app. And it took me 2 weeks, but I did ship it to the store in 2 weeks, which I was impressed at myself for like a small scope project that didn't completely get out of hand. Then after that, it got completely out of hand. And it was I wish to learn more things about 3D graphics and how to do things with an eye to a possible headset appearing. And I'd started playing with 3D graphics in 2016, which shows you how long there has been rumors of an Apple 3D headset. And this was another thing where I was like, so I'll make dice. I'll make a couple of different sets, and now there's like over 50 different dice themes, and it's a very calming thing to just sit and design the look of a set of dice, and it's something you can do in an afternoon if you aren't feeling particularly motivated to do anything else, and. I may have bought some professional texturing software as used by, the likes of Ubisoft or whatever when they're making Assassin's Creed games, but I just use it to make dice.
Well, that's fair enough. And, this is not just a dice app, because you could have just created a dice app. Oh, wow, I managed to roll a 1. See, it's got an Easter egg in it. I rolled a 1 and it said critical fail, because if I was rolling a D20, which I am in D&D, which I'm not playing at the moment, and I rolled a 1, that would be a complete and utter fail, and I would not succeed at whatever it was I was trying to do. But you've done more than that. So I just changed the theme of my dice a second ago to add that D20. But if I also add, say, a D8 in here, then I can see I've got a nice total, and there's a little reroll button, and I can see now my total's 20. And the fact that you have added everything up like this for us. And, I can do things like roll with advantage, which is very useful if you are trying to, play Dungeons and Dragons. I can see my total's 26. Woo, go me. Or I can roll with disadvantage. Let's see how badly I do this time. 13. That's very unlucky. Wow. It's almost like you planned that. But I swear I downloaded the App Store version just to make sure that James hadn't sneakily put something into the version that I was going to show off today. But yeah, that you've put things in here just to make it easier for those folks who are playing games like this, which is really nice. But it's also quite pleasing to just, roll the dice and see where they fall.
Also, if you click the keyboard button and you type 100 ducks and press return, it should, in theory...
if I use the right keyboard, 100 ducks. Yep. Ta-da! 100 ducks.
Because you never know when you might need 100 ducks.
Yeah, well, I mean, as long as there isn't a dread gazebo in here, which is a Dungeons and Dragons reference I'm sure some of you will know about, then I think we'll probably be okay. But yes, I love the fact that even the ducks spin, which is great. And you mentioned, James, that you've been experimenting with 3D for a while, and we are going to talk to you in the next episode about developing in 3D and what that has, done for you, because you've got a whole app which is about 3D experiments. And of course, Vision Pro has just come out. And I know a lot of our users are very interested in the Vision Pro and what developing for that's been like, especially because rather like earlier where you mentioned the first PCalc for iPhone app, you didn't actually have an iPhone at the time. Vision Pro has not been available for most people at all yet. So that's going to be quite exciting. But yes, is there a little Easter egg inside of this, aside from 100 ducks, that you could share with us? Is it possible to change the color of the ducks by writing 100 purple ducks, for example?
No, you can change the color of the ducks. Can I remember if there's a purple duck? If there's not a purple duck, of course, I'll have to add one now for you.
I apologize for accidentally giving you homework.
But okay, what's a good? Okay. So we may talk about screens. If you tap on the gear icon and you scroll pretty much all the way to the bottom of the top section, which has a lot of hidden kind of settings, there should be an about in there somewhere.
There is.
If you select that, it will have a thing, and
very pretty.
If you tap on the screen. And then you can go through this and like you can change different kinds of dice, and like you can pick the different scenes, and each scene is effectively an After Dark style screensaver module. So I went slightly overdid it, and yes, I made this thing, and there's like 20 odd different modules of just like 3D things, and you can change, like you can switch between dice and other objects and have them all flying around.
I love that the coin says "Don't panic" on it, which ties into 42 being life, the universe, and everything, and of course the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes, and the reason. Just to digress, because that's what this podcast is. The reason that it has 42 on it is that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is one of my most favored. I was going to say book, but multimedia project, I guess. And Douglas Adams actually was a beta tester on DragThing, which was an application doc that I wrote for the Mac. 1994-ish, and he was a beta tester, and I added some in fact automation features to it for him because he wanted support for the Frontier scripting language. And he was like, could you do this? And I'm like, of course I will, Douglas. And then added that whole thing for him. And I talked back and forth with him, a little amount. And I met him once, and he was very gracious in, having any idea who I was. And so, like the 42, there was always a 42 on the icon of PCalc, but it was a lot smaller back in the day, and it just got kind of bigger and bigger. And it is there as a tribute to Douglas, who died in 2001, I think. And I had been due to meet him, and he died just before WWDC, and I was going to meet him at WWDC. Oh. And that was, that hit me really hard. But anyway, that's why there's a 42 everywhere. It was really a kind of a tribute to him. And it's just a nice little thing. And now people associate it with me. Well, at least some people do. And I like to just carry it on as a thing. It's a good number.
Yes, it is an excellent number. I should know. I've been trying to hold my phone still because if you're in the about screen of PCalc and you're using the default scene, as you move your phone or iPad, I presume as well, because it's got the same sort of sensors in it, then it will actually adjust the view of exactly what it is like that the dice are doing, which is very cool. And I love
will
that.
do that in the main screen as well. If you're looking at the tray and it's like, particularly if it's zoomed in, and it does the kind of like, as you tilt it, it lets you, it looks like you've got a 3D view into it. So it's kind of, a very early augmented reality type of a thing. But yes, I love just playing with hardware when there's a feature available, something like motion sensors or whatever. It's like, well, what can I do with that that's fun? So yeah, so Dice, yes, it is a full-featured Dice app, but it is also a thing that I play with when I'm stressed and add stuff to.
Hey, if you liked that clip, well, there's so much more to get by joining Club TWiT. You can watch all of iOS Today, where we cover all things iOS, tvOS, HomePodOS, watchOS, and so much more. It's all the apps, all the tips and tricks, and everything with Rosemary Orchard and me, Micah Sargent. Join Club TWiT at twit.tv/clubtwit to see all of iOS Today.